Thank you. As we wait for the chair to call in as vice chair, I'm going to call this meeting of the Wayne County Art Authority to order. Madam Clerk, can you call the roll, please?
Renata Seals,
He doesn't have her mic on.
we'll come back to her. Gloria Ross,
I am here, Renata Seals.
thank you. Gloria Ross. Barbara Rogion Miller,
Present.
Hubert Massey,
Present.
Don Lee Cotton,
Present.
Maria Lambert,
Present.
Lolita Haley. Lolita Haley,
She's on her way also.
thank you. Vice Chair Colleen,
Present.
Chair Mezzaraka, I believe she just came in, so we'll give her a moment. Gloria Ross, I don't believe she's here. Lolita Haley, Chair Mezzaraka. She may still be connecting to audio, but she has
Well, I
joined.
see her on the list. She has to come off mute. But okay, do we have a quorum, Madam
We have a
Clerk?
quorum. Yes, we
All
have a
right,
quorum present.
Thank you. I'm going to get us rolling then. I hate Zoom meetings. It'd be good to see everybody around a table. We'll do that in the months to come, but welcome everybody. And thank you for your public service here on the Arts Authority Board. Our first item is to approve the agenda. If members could take a look at our agenda for today. And does anyone have any additions or corrections to the minutes or to the agenda before we approve it? Everybody's scrambling for mute buttons. Okay. Not hearing anything. Do I have a motion on the agenda?
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda. Barbara Miller speaking.
Thank you. Is there support?
I'll
I'll
support it.
support. It's Betty Mizraka.
Oh, hey, Betty. Yeah, I think I heard Mr. Massey sneak in there first.
Oh,
So
so
all
go
in,
ahead.
we have a motion and support. All in favor of approving the agenda, please say aye.
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 Opposed, please say, thank you. Opposed, please say nay. All right, the chair has zoomed in with us, so I'll turn it over to Betty Mizraka.
No, Tim, I asked that you chair the
Oh,
meeting. You're the
you
one that
did.
put it together.
Okay, item C is the approval of the minutes from back in August. What's the pleasure of the board?
I would move that we accept the minutes as presented.
That was Ms. Mizraka. Is there a second?
Second, Maria Lambert.
Thank you,
Can I
Ms.
just ask
Lambert.
for a point of clarification? This is Steve Panton, and I'm sure these meeting minutes meet the minimum requirements of the Michigan Open Meetings Act. But the first thing I always look at with meeting minutes is who attended, and I don't see a list of attendees. Is it possible to get a list of attendees added to these meeting minutes?
Yes, sir. And although it's a Zoom meeting, people outside the board can't parachute in at any time. That's a valid point that you're raising. Yes, that is available. I don't know why it's not there, but that is. Yeah, because we take
Tim?
attendance at every meeting. So we'll
Tim?
get to that, sir. And if you want to repeat that at public comment, so we don't forget it and we get it out there. So, yeah. All right, thank you. Members of the board, We have a motion and a second to approve the meeting minutes from August 31st. All in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstentions? And I think our minute taker is on notice about that. We'll get back to that. Okay. Item 1, the proposed 21 program plan review. That's a presentation from the Detroit Institute of Arts. Who would be handling that, please? Oh, hey, Lolita.
Good morning, everyone. So I'm going to go through the program plan for calendar year 2021. I'm just going to ask Octavia, do I have the ability to share my screen, or do you need to share the PowerPoint from your end?
You can share your screen, Julie.
Okay, so I'm going to work on doing that in a minute, but I just wanted to say good morning. It's nice to see everyone. It looks like most of us made it on this morning. I'm going to walk through the program plan with the group, and I see my colleagues from the DIA here. So Salvador, Jean, Judith, Christine, Dave, feel free to chime in if you feel like I'm missing a detail or anything.
Just like Romper Room.
Anyway, so I'm going to just take a moment and get this pulled up. Sorry, I'm having a little bit of, okay, I think I got it. Okay. So I have been sharing some of the components of the program plan via email with the authority members over the past few weeks. So some of this may look new, some of it will be familiar. First of all, we're open. I know we opened the museum back on July 10th, and I just wanted to make sure it should go without saying, but I want to make sure everyone knows that we are open. This is the front of the museum. The marketing team is posing with the opening banner for Cars, which I understand was quite a feat to get a banner horizontal without damaging the pillars or any part of the building. So as most of you probably know, we opened up Detroit style last weekend. So please come to the museum, see the permanent collection, everything we have there, and then also visit this new exhibition, which is free to residents of Wayne County. We have all of the safety protocols in place. Dave Flynn is for Public and Community Affairs is monitoring everything that's coming out of Lansing to make sure that we are complying with all orders and providing a safe experience for our visitors to the museum. I was there twice last week and felt very comfortable in the building. Lots of signage, lots of wayfinding, masks, hand sanitizers, temperature checks, all of the things that we've come to expect from a safe experience in public now. So come visit the museum. We're gonna walk through the service agreement program plan for 2021, just basically walking through all the different areas in the agreement. So the first part of the agreement is free general admission. We'll continue free general admission into 2021. Right now, we're open 5 days a week, so Wednesday through Sunday, and we will continue to be open those 5 days as long as the COVID environment permits, and maybe expand hours, something different as hopefully things improve. But for now, 5 days a week. We recently had to suspend our food service as they are asking for the 3-week shutdown of all in restaurant or in museum food service. So hopefully we'll be able to get that back when the 3-week current restrictions get relaxed. So student services and field trips, as you know, we have had to suspend our field trip program. We're not able to transport school kids in groups and on buses. And we hope that we'll be able to re-implement that again. But in the meantime, we have opened up our reservation system for virtual field trips. When I checked last week, I think we had about 20 schools signed up from Wayne County for virtual field trips in the beginning, actually in the month of January. So that seems to be getting traction really quickly. So we expect to be doing a lot of virtual field trips in 2021. And the format for those field trips, of course, are on the computer, but we're trying to create the same kind of customized experiences that teachers and students have come to expect virtually, like they normally would in the museum. We have Art Bites, which I believe I shared one of those with the group probably about 3 weeks ago. We're continuing to create the Art Bite videos, which are really short, focused snippets on one piece in the collection. I think our Art Bite library is probably getting close to about 10. We've put together kind of a more professional studio setting in the museum so that we can really start putting those out, getting those out for people to look at separately or look at in addition to their field trip experience. And then other digital activities are available for anyone who wants to access, like crossword puzzles, curator videos done by our conservation team, all kinds of things people can take a look at and learn a little bit more about the museum and the collection. Field trips to the museum, of course, we hope that we'll get back to that soon. And then we're also doing a pilot of the DIA delivered educational kits that we've talked about in previous meetings. So this is the work that we're planning on doing in 2021 to fulfill our agreement for student services and field trips. We're continuing our educator professional development. That is virtual as well. We have virtual workshops that we're going to be offering throughout the year. Some of them carry over from this calendar year. Others will be more focused on particular exhibitions that we have coming up in 2021. So we have our Refresh, Restore, Revitalize morning. We usually do those 3 times a year. VTS, Visual Thinking Strategies workshops, we'll be offering that in 21. And then Teacher PD focused on exhibitions, the Detroit Style exhibition in Ofrenda, and then additional virtual workshops on creativity supporting social emotional learning. And then we're looking for a way to do our Educator Appreciation Saturday. That is usually on site and includes a breakfast and some learning about resources in the museum. We're going to figure out how we can pivot that to virtual if we're not able to meet in person for that. And then we do have our custom partnership programs that we do with educators. So the DPS-CD Cultural Passport Program, we're going to work on a virtual version of that to service all second graders in DPS-CD. We're going to do workshops to support the student annual art show. In the past, that's been matting workshops to help the teachers prepare the students' work for display in the museum. If that is a virtual program like it was last year, we'll be working with art teachers in photography so they can help prepare photographs to upload for that. And then we always meet every year with the Wayne RESA Aspiring Administrators Program, those teachers for Teacher PD. So I'm just going to stop for a minute. I know Judith's on the phone. I want to make sure that I haven't missed anything that she'd like to highlight for this part of the service agreement.
I wasn't unmuted, sorry. I think you've captured everything. Just to say, we've also begun to do a needs assessment with teachers in the 3 counties. And the headline findings are that they're very, very interested to have the kinds of resources that we're offering right now. The kits, the virtual tours, and the art bites. So we're glad that we've thought ahead to provide those, and we're looking forward to booking as many of those as we can.
So I'm going to move on now to the senior program. So the senior program, of course, everyone should be familiar with the Thursdays at the Museum program that we do. Typically in the museum, we've obviously pivoted this to a virtual experience as well. So these are activities every Thursday for seniors, and these take place at 1 o'clock. We're recreating, I'm just going to pause for one moment. I have a little bit of interference from another call. Hang on one second. All right, it just took one dirty look and that person is gone. So we're recreating that online. So we started out with behind the scene art talks virtually, and now we're adding other activities in. We've done art bingo. We had our first performance last week. We had a pianist playing live from the Crystal Gallery. So we're continuing to add things into this program every Thursday. So when seniors tune in, they can experience something different. Our behind the scene art talks, typically those are done by volunteers at community organizations in the 3 counties. That also has pivoted to virtual. So if you have a group that would like to host a behind the scene art talk, they can just sign up on our website and we will connect them with a volunteer to do that. And then anytime access. So there's lots of things on the website. I described some of them that students can take part in, but they're also available for seniors as well. So those crossword puzzles, curator talks, conservation talks, those kinds of things are available as well outside of the regular schedule of 1 o'clock on Thursdays. We also just last week launched a senior art making kit. This is a new program that we're piloting right now. So we're working with 1 group in each county. I was out in Westland last week at Presbyterian Village delivering art kits for them. I've also packaged a sample for each of you and put those in the mail on Saturday. So you should get to your home a sample of the art kit that we're piloting right now. So that will be an art making project that they can do either on their own, or if they're in a center that can organize it as a group, they can do it as a group. And then we do have a video that they can access that talks a little bit more about the piece that the art kit was inspired by. We've engaged our evaluation team. We're going to be doing surveys and focus groups as a follow-up to this, just to make sure we understand what's working, what's not working, what people want, what they don't want, before we talk about taking this to a larger scale. So I'm looking forward to getting something actually in everyone's hands that you can kind of go through and look at. And the next time we meet, we'll be sharing the results of that evaluation with you and thinking about how to incorporate that into the senior program, particularly during these times when our seniors aren't able to come in to the museum as a group. So we're going to talk just a little bit about community partnership programs. Of course, one of the main components of our community partnership program is Inside Out. This is a listing of the community groups who've applied for this year, for 2021. So our community engagement team is going to be meeting next week and just going through all of the applications, making final selections, and then reaching out to the organizations that applied. So this is what we're looking at in Wayne County. Of course, Wayne County Community College District, part of our 3-year plan with them is to bring Inside Out to them every year. We also have a partnership. The installation, I believe, took place just recently at Henry Ford Health Systems for the new cancer center. So we have Inside Out there. Inside Out also remains at the airport. And we did a small installation at the St. Regis in Midtown as well. So we'll be seeing a lot of Inside Out. We're excited that this is one of the programs we're really able to continue doing even during the pandemic. So I believe I think I shared these locations with the group via email and also the application. So hopefully you're seeing some of the organizations that you may have reached out to personally through that as well, reflected in here. And then on to sort of the whole slate of community partners that we'll be working with. I won't read through all of these, but a few highlights. Midtown Detroit Inc. We'll be working with them for de-electricity this year. They are planning on doing de-electricity in 21, and that's usually a fall program. So Judith and a few other members of the DIA team met with Midtown Detroit about a month ago, and they have some really great plans, and we're excited to be part of that. Again, this is an outdoor activity, so hopefully it is a little bit pandemic proof. Concert of Colors, we had a really successful virtual Concert of Colors that was broadcast on public TV this year. So we're looking to do that again. And then you'll sort of see the list of people we worked with before, a few new people, new groups, and then our partners in public art projects. We're just finishing up a sculpture for Plymouth this year. That's our public art project for 2020. And you'll be receiving information on that. We hope that we'll be able to get that in the ground and up in December. I know they're working on getting a stabilizing base for that right now, but we will be doing a public art project in 21, hopefully 2. And I know our studio team is kind of has some ties in the Avenue of Fashion for a project, probably a mosaic project. I think Hubert's pretty familiar with this. I think Charlie in the studio has talked to Hubert about it. This is by the Good Times restaurant between 7 and 8 Mile. So we'll be looking to do a project there and then possibly one other location. I think there's a group in Allen Park who's reached out to us. And again, you know, looking to do as many things that we can do that are sort of pandemic proof through the community partnership program. So last week I sent to everyone kind of an outline that just sort of walks through in general what we can do during pandemic restrictions and then the things that we might be able to add back in. But the bulk of our program for 21 is designed to be in compliance with whatever restrictions that we're aware of that will be in place, and then add a little this or little tweaks back in like transportation to the museum as those restrictions hopefully begin to ease up. So that's all of the programs that we do in compliance with the service agreements. And then Salvador, I think, is going to talk about some of the exhibitions we have, unless we want to talk a little bit about the program plan and get any of your input or thoughts or ideas about
Well,
that.
we'll get back to that in a minute, Ms. McFarland. If we could complete the presentation, I always find it's cleaner that way. And then members of the board, I'll be coming around to everyone for questions on the entire DIA presentation in a few minutes here. So back to you, DIA.
Thank you. So I will give a little bit of a overview of what we have right now in our exhibitions. And we just successfully opened Detroit style car design in the Motor City 1950 to 2020. Julie was showing the main entrance of the woodwork entrance of the DIA with the wonderful Firebird, the prototype that was created by General Motors that you can see as well on this image. This is an exhibition that has taken 3 years of hard work from the DIA team. We were able to raise over $1.5 million to put it together. And with that, we're able to offer it for free to the residents of Oakland, Wayne, and Macomb County. Just want to remind everybody that the millage is very generous with the museum, covers all our programs and free admission, but exhibitions is at the expense of the DIA. And we do it thanks to the great work that our development team implements, and thanks as well to the generous philanthropists that live in the area and outside of Michigan. So the exhibition is terrific. We have 12 cars that were all designed and made in Detroit. Some of them are prototypes, others were made for the market. The exhibition includes drawings, paintings, sculpture, as well as the 12 cars. And this exhibition is different than the other car exhibitions that we have seen in the past. This is an exhibition that only focuses on the creativity in Detroit, the design in Detroit, and that studies or puts at the center the car designer. That is what we're talking about. We thought it was important to do this exhibition. Car design was invented in Detroit. It did not exist before. So we wanted to celebrate this art form and elevate it to a museum quality product. We feel it's important to be proud of our history, and Detroit put the world on wheels, and we wanted to tell that story of creativity, innovation, and many other things. As I mentioned, the exhibition has been very well received in the press. We are waiting for a long article in the New York Times that will be published soon, but all the important media outlets have covered it, and it's a delight for everybody. It's open until June 27th, and we are hoping that we can extend this longer so we can have the exhibition open during September as well, when the auto show will happen, and we are hoping that the exhibition will be open as well so we can have the schools coming through the building in the next fall, you know, with the hope that, as I mentioned, that the situation with COVID-19 has changed. So let us know when you want to come and visit. It's just amazing. Also, at the same time, we are opening a show in our photo galleries on the Pennsylvania photographer Ross Marshall, who traveled around the country but was here in Detroit in the 1970s. He was documenting the life of Detroiters in the summer festival, but also the life of those auto workers. So it's a very good exhibition to see in conjunction with the car design show. This is a collection of 90 photographs, black and white. The artist was in the building 2 weekends ago, and it's just fantastic to see really the people who put the world on wheels in these photographs. Next slide, please. You know, both, as I mentioned, are free to the residents of Oakland, Wayne, and Macomb County. And as you remember, we had to postpone our Van Gogh exhibition that we had scheduled for 2020. We were able to successfully do that, and now the Van Gogh show will happen in 2022, the fall of 2022. In the meantime, for the temporary exhibition gallery that we have available, since the car design exhibition is taking the space or part of the space of the contemporary wing, we would like in the temporary exhibition galleries to show a survey of the acquisitions that the museum has done in contemporary art in the last decade. This is a great exhibition of the many things that the museum was able to acquire thanks to the endowment, the restricted endowment for acquisitions, to continue enriching our collection and bring great things to the community here in Detroit. I think that's my little report on exhibitions. I just want to emphasize that we continue to have our safety protocols in place. People who want to come to the museum need to schedule the visit online, and then they have to go through the temperature scan. They are required to wear masks and keep social distance. We have very limited numbers per day. We are now at 100 people per hour. It's important for us to keep the museum open as long as it's safe for our staff and our visitors. And for that, we follow the direction of our governor and the advice of the medical authorities. And as long as we can continue to do that, we will keep the museum open. We will keep the museum on mission, serving the residents of Oakland, Winnemucca County.
Thank you, Mr. Szilard Pons. Very good to see you. We all have to compare our COVID haircuts or lack thereof in these times. I want to open it to board members for questions. Maybe we should be prepared to go back, Ms. McFarland, in case we have to refer to the PowerPoint at all. But the PowerPoint revolved around the three areas that are in the service agreements with teachers and students. So let me open it up to board members that may have questions for the DIA on the report. I think one.
Questions, Tim. I need to get to them.
Yes, Ms. Miller, please.
So if somebody else wants to go first, but I do.
No, you're up. You're up. In fact, Ms. Miller, I was looking at the participation list today, and I think I will go down it one by one so everybody doesn't compete, to try to get in all at once. On the list today, you are number one, and Ms. Araka will be on deck here to follow you. So the floor is yours, Ms. Miller.
Thank you very much. I wanted to ask, for example, on the teacher advisory group, there are 4 teachers from Wayne County. How are those teachers selected to serve on the advisory group?
That is a good question. I will have to talk to Jason Gillespie, who heads up that program, to clarify. I believe they are volunteers, but they also receive honoraria for their participation.
Okay, so I'd like their names and where they're from and how often it changes and.
Sure, we can get that to you.
Yeah, Ms. Miller?
Yes.
Would it be good with you? We're going to vote on our meeting schedule for next year. We have a January meeting. Would it be good with you, Ms. Miller, if the DIA included that in their report to us in January?
Yeah, fine.
Okay. You still have the floor, Ms. Miller.
Okay, I have, thank you, Tim. I have some more questions. And in the senior groups, what's the protocol for contacting the senior groups? Is it just like a blast or you have a contact? How are the senior groups contacted?
So, Julie, do you want to go or? Okay. So we have a list of the groups that have been the most frequent visitors to the museum through scheduling their trips. So that's one list that we're working with. But we've also made other contacts in the community to extend that list and ensure that we're reaching a broad swath. For the first pilot project of the art making kits, we selected just 3 communities that we felt would be receptive and that we know have visited as well, to try those out. And as I say, there will be, or as Julie said, there will be some evaluation so that we can ensure that that is, that the kit is exactly what is wanted and doable. And then for the other programs like the Thursdays at the Museum, that's a choice of the individual. And then we also do mailings to senior centers that allow us to contact them and let them know what resources we have, whether it's Thursdays at the Museum. Once we've gotten over this pilot for this for the art kits, then we will also email blast senior centers to make sure that they know we have these art making kits available.
Thank you very much. And then talking about Wayne County Community College and our agreement with them, is that for all 5 campuses?
Yes.
Okay, and I heard the mention of St. Regis. What is St. Regis?
That is a location where we have Inside Out, the Inside Out program with the reproductions of the works from the collection.
Okay, and what is St. Regis?
It is the hotel that is in New Center.
Do we have a program for other hotels?
We have a program for high visibility locations throughout Metro Detroit, like we've done at the airport, like we do at high visibility parks and downtown areas. In Mount Clemens, we put reproductions, not canvases, but pictures in storefronts of businesses. So there is a policy and a protocol that we have to do this kind of work throughout the region.
Okay, thank you.
And Mr. Flynn, if I could jump in on that, Barb, the St. Regis is a historic hotel in Detroit.
Yeah, I've been there many times. I've been
Yeah,
to
it's right. Yeah, so you know where it is. It's right by the Fisher Building, New Center 1, and the old GM headquarters. So it's high traffic area there in New Center. You still have the floor, Ms. Miller.
Okay, and I see on the colleges, we have something with Center for Creative Studies and Wayne County Community College. What about Wayne and U of D and Schoolcraft? Are there any other colleges that we need to reach out to?
Can certainly add them to the list if we're always eager for partners.
Okay, currently Wayne University is working with the Wayne County Council for the Arts on a project that we got funded through the Ford Foundation, and so they're agreeable partners. So I'd like to see some contact with them.
So
And-
Ms.
wanna
Miller,
hop in-
yes, you will see that I'm already in conversations with Wayne State University about the specific project that you mentioned. I have not briefed my team about it yet. We had our board meeting last week. This has been a development that has been, I've been in conversation with them, and now I really understand what the possible partnership with Wayne State could be. And obviously with the city of Detroit, we've been working with Rochelle Riley and others. So I know exactly what is the area that you're talking about, and we are already very close to have meaningful conversations and launch an agreement with them.
And I'd just like to clarify, I mean, what we, these are partnership programs for the community partnership program for the service agreement, but we certainly have relationships at most of the educational institutions in the area. I mean, it may be, we have curators who do guest lectures. Those schools all come to the museum on their own, field trips. So it's not that there's just nothing specific that we're doing in 2021, but there's certainly a relationship there.
All right, thank you very much. I'm finished with my questions. Thank you for giving me this time.
Thank you, Ms. Miller. I see Ms. Seals is practicing good Zoom behavior and raised her hand. She's been on Zoom before, apparently. If nobody has ever chaired a meeting on Zoom, you know that you want to, about half the people that are in the meeting when everybody's yelling at once. So I was trying to go about it in an organized way, but Ms. Seals raised her hand, as you can do on the, under more, in the top right of your Zoom. So that moved her to the head of the line. So Ms. Seals, I'm going to call on you, and then Ms. Mizuraka, stand back and stand by. You're next. Ms. Seals, you have the floor.
Hi, first of all, I just
Or
wanted
Evans,
to,
I'm sorry, I screw that up all the time. Go ahead.
so first of all, I just wanted to commend the DIA on their efforts at the St. Regis Hotel. That is a beautiful exhibit. It is wonderful. If you guys get a chance, go by there and just walk through the hallway so that you can check out. Is one of the greatest exhibits I've seen the DIA do outside of the DIA. But more so than that, I want to piggyback off of what Ms. Miller said about how are you guys choosing not just the teachers, but the schools and things like that, that you're marketing all of this, everything that you've displayed to us today. How are you marketing? Who are your partners in getting this marketing out and letting citizens know, teachers know, schools know that these things are available? Because one of my concerns, and I address it in almost every meeting that we have, is that one of the things that was said was we've talked to and we've partnered with people who have attended the DIA and who are the usual suspects, so to speak. If that is the way that it's going to go, then we'll never be able to expand what's going on at the DIA, and other people know about it and can sign up for it if you're using the same teachers and the same marketing strategy with the same school. So once in our last meeting, I did ask for a list of schools that were that had signed up to participate in this program, and I don't think that I've received it yet. So if someone could get that to me, maybe by the end of, maybe let's say next week, because we do have Thanksgiving this week, I would appreciate it, because it's been a couple of months since I've asked for it the first time. And then if you could briefly explain to me how that marketing goes. How do you reach out? Are you reaching out through government agencies, the city of Detroit, Wayne County, Oakland County? Who are your partners to do the marketing for this?
If I could start to answer that question, Renata, and I think it's a really good one. We're always looking for new lists and opportunities to market to, and then maybe Judith and I think Christine, our marketing director, is on the call, is we have a community leaders list that has every elected official in the Tri-Counties. We have every school district where we have the superintendents, the school board, the curriculum directors, hopefully in education down to many of the principals in most schools in the area. We have every library director, every senior center, every chamber of commerce, every university and community college, all Rotary groups and service organizations that we could come up with. We have veterans, we have mental health organizations, and that list is about built up to almost 3,000 community leaders, and we ask those people to spread that message throughout their organizations. Obviously, we can't make them do that, but we do really strongly encourage that. And we send out at least quarterly to those groups, if not more often, based on how we target. And we do mass mailings to senior centers, to school districts, to teacher groups that we've worked with, everybody who's participated that you know, but how do we broaden that group? And I think that's a continued effort that we all need to work on together. And if you have any lists that you could help us with in the city of Detroit and Wayne County, we'd love to add that to our regular communication schedule. And I think if Judith or Christine have anything to add to that too, because they also do that on a more regular daily basis.
So just to say, we also have an e-newsletter called EduNews that goes to educators who have signed up for it. The list has grown enormously recently because teachers are looking for resources. So that's one of the ways in which we have reached them. Additionally, because some of the programs that we are rolling out now are new ones, we will be doing some targeted marketing, which I think Christine can speak to. But the other thing to say is that because we've had, because there is such a demand for teachers to have new resources in this environment, we've actually seen a greater and broader participation in the professional development that we have been offering. So for example, we did a visual thinking strategies 2-day kind of boot camp workshop. And we certainly had representation from the Tri-Counties, but actually also from Upper Michigan, the Upper Peninsula, and Canada. So one of the, I guess I would say, silver linings of this moment is that actually we've broadened our reach as more people are able to participate. And I'll just turn it over to Christine.
Yeah, thanks. So I just wanted to add, one thing we've been doing to reach new audiences is targeted marketing through social media. As Dave and Judith said, we have these lists, but those are who we know and the people we know who they know. So to get at those new people, we've done some advertising, particularly through Facebook, aimed at parents and teachers, promoting these programs so that we know that a lot of this sometimes can come from parent influence. So we're not isolated just to educators, to get the word out about these programs to new audiences as well.
I see Ms. Klustra raised her hand. Did we get to you? Is that what you needed to do there?
Yep, that was for me. I took it down.
Thank you.
Thanks.
And Renata, we're sorry you didn't get the list yet of those schools, and we will make sure by the end of next week that you have that in hand.
I'll just say we do have a very strong partnership with the DPSCD, the Cultural Passport Program. So that is one of our diehard partners, and they have expressed interest in booking the online tour. So that's one of the first groups that gets scheduled because of our ongoing commitment there.
Okay, thank you.
Ms. Seals, do you have anything else?
No, that's it.
Ms. Evans, somebody hit me through the Zoom.
It's okay. I was Ms. Seals for like 40 something years. It's okay.
Yeah, I got you. Yeah, if dinner's involved, I'll answer to anything. Thank you. Ms. Mizuraka, do you have questions for the DIA on their report? Get ready to unmute, board members, as I'm coming around. All right, we'll hang on to Ms. Mizuraka for a minute. Ms. Lee, do you have questions for the DIA? Be ready at your mute buttons, board members. Okay, I'll take that as a no. Mr. Massey, do you have questions for the DIA today?
Yeah, only one question about the sample kits. I just wanted to know, is the sample kits that the members or board members are going to receive, are they the exact kits that will be passed out to the students?
Yes, so the kits that you're receiving are for seniors, actually.
Okay.
And then they're the exact same kit. So this one focuses or relates to an object or objects in the collection, SAFO flags from the African collection. And there's a way to, through a QR code, hear a lecture by our curator of African art on the SAFO flags to place them in context and give a little background.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Sure.
Anything else, Mr. Massey?
No, that's it.
Okay. Ms. Haley, do do you have comments, questions, please?
Yes, a couple of comments and a couple of questions. I guess I'm a little, first of all, confused about the kits. I remember the last time the kits, I didn't know they were just for the seniors specifically. And I was under the impression that you had already determined who wanted them or doable. I'm not quite sure that I understand that impact, and still you've only passed out 3 of them. I didn't really understand why it took so long. I'm really excited about the senior outreach. I'm think that that's really good because a lot of them are suffering from this COVID mania, just being in the house. I think it's a lot of seniors. I think that would be very impactful for the seniors, but I also think it would be impactful for the children with the Zoom and the parents, because sometimes the schoolwork could use a little something from all of you. And so I would kind of encourage you to work on that. And the groups, I didn't really understand about when you said you had many groups that were doing the senior groups. You had some that weren't, so that weren't coming. Well, I think that's on you and on us about us being impactful and effective. It's one thing to set up a program and have all these beautiful pictures, but if we don't have any way of measuring it, that's when we run into a problem. And it's a new day for all of us, I get that. But we also know that if we can't see any results, it just looks good. I mean, and we're not as impactful as we could be. And I think we talked about ways that weren't expensive that we could reach out and stimulate the youth and these artists that are teachers that have more than one job to do different things so they can appreciate all this wonderful art that you're putting out in the neighborhood. I think that is really great. And I'm really pleased about all of those exhibits, the mailings, and seniors. I found in my experience that I do get inundated with a lot of emails and a lot of texts, but many of the things when they come from certain people, I find them impactful. And I will try to reach out, but I just encourage you, you say a broader reach. Some of those words sound good, even though I got 2 million people on my Facebook and 2 million people on my email. And that's how impactful is that really to me? It's good for me to tell it, but if nobody is talking to me, that's just a number. So I just encourage you, for those of us seniors that are in the house, we might be more willing to listen, and we might be more willing to have you walk me through the museum, because it would probably be better because I could see it. And I know surely for my children, I encourage you to help us help the children and the teachers. And I didn't hear anybody say anything about including the public schools with Zoom. I think this is an opportunity that you might be missing. That's all. Thank you.
So if I may just try to respond to a couple of things. So we have 2 different kinds of kits. There are the senior kits that we're just now in a pilot phase for. And that's where we partnered with 2 communal living facilities and 1 senior center. And so we want to make sure before we broadly distribute the kits that they're successful. So we have evaluation materials that are going along with those. So once they have been used, we can improve on them if that's required, or make other alterations to them. The other kind of kits that we have are for the schools. And that's what's called DIA delivered. These are kits that have been developed from the 8 most visited collections in the museum. And teachers can reserve a kit just as they would a field trip. And then the kit will be sent to their school for use. We've right now said 2 weeks, but it seems like from the evaluations that we've received back that teachers would like to keep them for up to 3 weeks. And so that's something that we'll examine. So we've also sent those out to 10 schools in the Tri-Counties, again, to make sure that as a pilot that they are successful. So we've included evaluation materials in that so that we can refine the kit if needed. And then to complement the kits, to your point, Ms. Haley, we also have online programs. These are virtual tours of the collections. Again, the most popular collections. We will use the virtual platform that the schools prefer. So some use Zoom, some use MS Teams, the DPS-CD uses Teams, some use Google. So we will use whichever platform the school wants us to use. And that's where we've seen, in particular, a huge number of signups for that. So we scheduled them with the DPS-CD, which is one of our longstanding partners. And we have a huge list of people who've also requested those tours. So first we'll schedule the DPS-CD and then we move on to the others. Julie, I don't know, or Christine, if you want to amplify about other components of Ms. Haley's question.
No, I think you covered everything, Judith.
Okay.
Ms. Haley, you still have the floor.
Thank you. I appreciate it. You know, when you give me the floor, I have a whole bunch of questions because we don't meet that often, but that's what we are expected to do, Tim and team, to give.
Absolutely.
So
and
keep
that's
up the good work.
And that's why I'm being very careful here to go around and make sure every board member has a chance for comments. It can get a little crazy on Zoom sometime. I'm going to go to Ms.
I didn't hit unmute fast enough, but my
Well, hang on. I got Ms. Misaraka next, and then Ms. Cotton. I'm coming to you, and then Ms. Ross. So that's the lineup right now. Ms. Misaraka, Chair Misaraka, questions, comments?
Yes, can you hear me?
Absolutely, we can.
Okay, I would like to go back to the school issue. Communicating Arts School principal was just dismissed for a week, or punished for a week for shortening the schedule because the children cannot stay focused on their calls from home for the schedule that they had. But then but I found out through Sherry Gay Dagno, who just was elected to the school board, who's now a state legislator, and a friend of mine, and we were discussing this. If the kids can't get all that they need to get and learn during the shortened period, and they are going to reinitiate what they just suspended this teacher for, this principal suggesting they just suspended her for a week without pay, and now they're going to initiate the program. So I don't think DPS is really with it themselves, as most organizations are floundering during this COVID, trying to adjust to the situation. But I think that the art program will probably not be as effective right now with such a limited time and of interest with kids. That's just my comment. I don't know. You can check that out with, and I'd like for you, I'm going to connect Sherry Gay so she can meet with you guys and just see. She has a lot of great ideas. She was a teacher in the state legislature and now is going to be on the school board. That's the school issue. Now let's go. And I'd also like them to go back to the site that you chose in Midtown. I think that's a very good selection because I work in the state building, which is right across the street. And we have tours almost every weekday, even now with the COVID, people coming through from other parts of the world, and they have cameras and they're down the hallways making pictures, even though a lot of the state workers are at home, but people are still traveling and they're still moving around in Midtown, and they're out on the street making pictures of the Fisher Building and going inside the lobbies that are open. So I think that's a very good idea to have that, so other people that aren't from this country or traveling can see. If they don't make it to the DIA, they can see an outreach. So that's one other issue. And I like to really thank Tim for putting this meeting together, because I don't have the capability. I'm not in the Guardian building, and I don't have all the technical assistance. And I know he's put a lot of work into this meeting, and I want to thank him for that on behalf of the board. And I would like to thank the whole arts group, the DIA and all the administrators for all the work that you've done to keep this going. This pandemic is not going to last forever. These vaccines are going to come out, and we're going to pull through this. And hopefully by the middle of next year, we'll be back on, or even before the middle of next year. I'd like to say April or May to be back to our new normal, not to our new normal. I don't like the new normal. I hate it. But anyway, I'm still alive, and I'm grateful for my friends. I'm grateful to be have some small part in this arts conversation. And I just appreciate all of you for all that you do, that you've helped bring this to where we are now. And that's all I say. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Araka, and as has been said in the Colleen and Irish household, from your lips to God's ears. Ms. Cotton and then Ms. Ross. Ms. Cotton, are you prepared for questions, comments?
Yes, I don't have any. I believe the other board members have made valid points and brought up the appropriate concerns.
Well, thank you, but you know, it's very hard to have true conversations on Zoom. So I'm going to get around to everybody, and if your answer is no, I don't have questions, or comments, that's very appropriate as well. Ms. Ross, do you have any questions, comments to add to the discussion? Did we lose her? Looks like we might have lost her. I don't see her on my list anymore. Is there any board member I have failed to call on that would like to ask questions of the DIA? All right, I'm going to take that as a no. So thank you for the presentation. We're going to go back to the agenda. And I'm going to suggest that we actually go to item 3 first, which is the letter of agreement. It makes more sense. This is just what we've been talking about, how we have to do a little pivoting in the age of COVID for how the service agreements are executed. We have things in the service agreement right now, the legal document between the taxpayers of Wayne County and the DIA to provide certain services. As we have acknowledged, that's no longer possible. The DIA has drafted a letter of agreement because we will have to make an amendment to the service agreements recognizing this COVID time. And then that just went up to our attorney for the Arts Authority Board, Mr. Kalogerakis over at Allen Brothers, submitted a letter with regards to this after we had after it was presented to us. So we have his. I will get to that second. I will ask the DIA to first lead us through the letter of agreement, the proposed letter of agreement, if they can present that. And Ms. Hunter, if you could get that up on the screen, the original letter.
Are you guys able to view the screen? I have the letter up now.
This is the letter from our attorney, but I mean the proposed letter of agreement from the DIA. Yeah, thank you. Everything's tougher in Zoom.
Octavia, I think if you scroll down, I think it's at the bottom of this.
She'll find it.
One moment, my screen is frozen. 1 second.
Yeah, see, we'll get there.
So Tim, it's
thank you. Yes, Mr. Flynn.
I'd be happy to start that conversation, and anybody from the DI team that would like to chime in.
One more time, Mr. Flynn, please identify yourself and your job at the DIA.
David Flynn, Flynn, Senior Vice President for Public and Community Affairs.
Your floor, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. And we just want to thank you for the opportunity to have this meeting. Obviously, due to the restrictions that have been laid out in March from the governor and the executive orders that happened throughout those periods of times, the DIA was not able, and we know it was not appropriate to have students or seniors come down to the museum on field trips or for senior trips. We look forward to that day, like Betty mentioned, where we can all get back to normal and have as many school kids and seniors come to the museum. And, you know, we got really good at that right before the pandemic. And we hope to return to that sometime later in 2021. But knowing that we couldn't meet those targets based on our service agreements, we worked with Macomb County, and we're working with you and with Oakland County to create these letter of agreements that basically say, because of the pandemic and the restrictions, we were unable to meet those student numbers and those senior numbers. And, you know, obviously everybody is understanding and empathetic to that. We all have organizations that can't do what we normally did. But any investment goals that were not met in calendar year 20 would be rolled over into calendar year 21 and 22. And those investment numbers that we needed to meet, if there are any rollover dollars, would just be put into future years, as was the case in the first year in 2013. And so it basically outlines the orders that were created by the governor. It outlines that we were not able to meet those targeted goals for seniors and students in terms of attendance. However, any investment number that we did not meet would be rolled over into future years to make sure that the investment of Wayne County taxpayers would be pushed into future years. And we have that money saved and ready to spend when we're able to, when we get back to normal, and we're able to bring students and seniors to the museum again.
Thank you, Mr. Flynn. And one moment, Ms. Hunter, if you could just bring that up a little bit to show the now therefore section. All of the whereases in the letter of agreement are just the background for what we're talking, why we need to have an amendment to the service agreement because of the specific targets. So if you could bring the now, therefore, I see number 1, number 2, if you could bring that to the middle of the screen so everybody can.
Commissioner, my internet connection is unstable, so please bear with me. That's why.
Okay.
Freezing
We'll
up,
be
so.
patient.
And it outlines
Unstable
that
internet connections. Okay, there we go.
The rollover would be after we conduct our audit and we have actual real numbers. That would be the number that we would roll over if that is required into the next calendar years.
Well, it would be required by this letter of agreement, correct?
Yeah, exactly. Yep. Those would be
So-
audited numbers.
Yeah. So item 3 there, any money we don't spend this year because of COVID, we will spend next year. Okay. And given your unstable internet, Ms. Hunter, is it possible then to go back and show the letter from our attorney with regards to this, and then we'll get to questions and comments from board members? I think if folks have the letter in front of them and not just on their screen, the first 2 paragraphs, there we go, thank you. The first 2 paragraphs are, again, our background information from our attorney. Just what we've been discussing before, points out that if we don't have this letter of agreement, there would be a breach of the service agreement with the DIA. And we can't have that because that's the legal document that we currently have. third paragraph, he goes into what the purpose is, and that is to restructure the DIA's obligation right in the middle of that paragraph, so the DI can remain compliant with the agreement, and that we do exactly what Mr. Flynn had just been talking about, is to any money that's not spent because of COVID will be spent in the future under this. He also points out in the last paragraph there, that these contracts can be modified at any time during the agreement. I think the last sentence is important. This rescheduling of the program funding will satisfy the requirements of the agreement and the Art Institute Authorities Act, which is the State of Michigan Act that we are organized under. So I will go back and see what kind of comments, questions board members may have. Ms. Mizuraka, are you ready to have either questions or comments?
Yes, I am.
It's your floor.
I have no other comments.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Miller?
Yes, I have a comment on the first page of the letter of agreement under number 1. It says the authority agrees that due to the public health emergency and so on, you can't agree as a single party, so it has to be the authority and the DIA agree. And that's the language used in 2, 3, and 4, but we need to add the DIA agree. And then that's really
well, I don't want to spec this too much, Ms. Miller. I see what you're.
Tim, is to.
Pardon me?
That's our job, is to inspect.
It is, but the entire sentence says that the authority agrees that due to the public emergency that the DIA will not be able to meet its targeted number of students, and field trips and senior tours for the calendar year. So that first one is kind of a one-sided. The DIA has already talked about all of the health orders that we're under. But the first thing in this letter of agreement is to state that this authority, you and I and everybody else, just agrees that the DIA in these circumstances will not be able to meet. It's just to meet the responsibilities under the agreement. So I think it's a little bit different than the other ones where it says the authority and the DIA agree. So I don't think it needs any amending. That's what I'm saying.
Well, I do, but that's okay. Number 4, I think that it says that the parties will work in good faith to determine appropriate and beneficial amendments. That's really kind of vague. What is?
I think basically that we left that open based on the unknowing, and this was drafted before we even knew there was a vaccine. That there's a lot of uncertainty into 21 and 22, but we want to have just a clause that says in good faith that if anything needs to come up or things need to be rolled over or we need to change what can be allocated, that we want to work and negotiate with our partner, the Art Authority of Wayne County, to make that happen. It's really a non-binding clause, but I think it's just something that we wanted to say that was good faith between the two parties in our working relationship.
So it's deliberately vague.
I'm sorry, Ms. Miller?
I said it's deliberately vague.
Yes.
So that we can work around it.
We can always change this letter of agreement to add different clauses or the service agreement, but we know that there's a lot of instability and, things of unknown that we can't totally predict going into next year and the year after. And so we wanted to leave that open.
Okay, those were my only questions.
Thank you, Ms. Miller. Ms. Cotton, do you have questions or comments here?
No, not at this time.
All right, I'm coming to Mr. Massey then for any questions or comments he may have.
No questions or comments.
Okay, the next two up are Ms. Haley and Ms. Evans. Ms. Haley, do you have any questions or comments on this proposed letter of agreement?
Tim, this is Maria Lambert. I think you're missing me somehow.
Yeah, well, what are you again? Hi, Mama.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Well, you know, slap me upside the head. So I'll get to Miss Haley in a moment. You're in, Ms. Lambert. Questions, comments on the letter of agreement?
I don't have any questions on the agreement. I just want to say thank you to the DIA and the authority for all the wonderful work they've done. And that's it.
All righty, thank you. Ms. Haley, are you ready to go here? Ms. Haley and or Ms. Evans.
I do have a question. One of the things that is concerning me is the fact that, no. I want to know, when are they going to determine the amount that would roll over? We're at the end of the year now, and we've been in this COVID situation since March. So there should be some type of number kind of readily available already, instead of waiting until we get all the way until March, April of next year to start discussing that number. And again, like with Betty, I mean, with what Barb said, I think that the language is very important at this point, because we've had some hiccups in the later part of this year about language in the millage. And I think that we should be very cautious about how we word things. So if those words could be changed, as Barbara Miller requested, that I think that would be great. And I would look to what that number is for the rollover, because since it's so vague, I don't want any kind of room for too much error or things that just aren't clear in the millage, because that wasn't an option when the millage was written the first time.
We can confirm with Julie on an estimate for what that would be. We just thought it would be more appropriate to have that be an actual audited number, which we would hope to get in February, March, based on what we do for our annual report. And we come back with finalized audited numbers for attendance and for the investment. But Julie, when do you think we could get a good, just general ballpark estimate of what that rollover would be?
So typically I don't provide estimates, because we have a process where we close out our books at the end of December, and then early February, we turn all that over to Plant Moran for their review. At that time, when I turn it over to Plant Moran, I will know then what I'm projecting the shortfall or our numbers to be. And then it gets audited by then. So if we were looking for a number, the earliest I would be comfortable providing a number would be early February. I can share what I'm sending to the auditors.
And as far as the language goes, where are we going with that, Tim? Or the
Well, let me comment on the last thing first, Ms. Evans. As number 2 says in the proposed letter of agreement, in the Second Amendment to our service agreements, one of the things that we did in there was to mandate that the outside auditor also audit the numbers that are in our service agreements. And that is for each one of the 3 authorities, Wayne, Oakland, and Macomb. And we asked for that separate to make sure we had right numbers. So that is what they're referring to in item number 2, because in the end, we're going to have to deal with audited numbers anyway as we change this. So The audit's going on right now. I'm on another board that won't receive financial statements this month while the audit's underway, actually 2 boards. So this time of audit for large institutions in the December, January timeframe, as the audit is being done for the previous fiscal year, presents some difficulties until that audit is done. I don't, as far as the language goes, I don't, people can propose changes to the language in here. Me personally, I don't see anything that necessarily needs changing. If we want to say in number 1 that the authority and the DIA agree that there's a public health emergency and that the DIA will not be able to meet its target, they're already telling us they're not going to be able to meet the target. And we know that because we've had that discussion at previous meetings. So, I mean, we could change it if we want, but I don't think it's a difference without a distinction, I think is the expression for that. So I don't, but let's hear what other folks say on that. Ms. Haley, do you have any comments? I'm sorry, I don't mean, Ms. Evans, you still have the floor.
I'm done.
Ms. Evans, just to answer your 2 questions again, to be clear, is we'll have the best estimate we can give you is early February, knowing that that number is sent to the auditors. And to your second question about the language in number 1, the DIA doesn't have a stance one way or the other. If you'd like to add it, we're comfortable. If you don't want to add it, we're comfortable as well.
Okay.
That's up to the authority.
So we don't have a motion on the floor yet, but when we do, if somebody wants to make that motion, that would be the time. Let's get other board members that haven't had a chance to weigh in. Ms. Haley, do you have?
Yes, if we have a recommendation from the board to refine the language, I think we would all be more comfortable with that. It's a recommendation from Barb, and whatever her recommendation, I support that recommendation.
Okay. Ms. Ross, do you have anything? Did I miss any board members that have questions or comments they would like to add here? I guess I'll go back to Ms. Miller then. Barb, do you have a motion you would like to make?
I make a motion that, thank you, Tim, for recognizing me. The authority and the DIA agree that due to the public health emergency, the DIA will not be able to meet its targeted number. To add, and DIA agree. Modify.
Is there support for the motion?
I support the motion.
Thank you, Mr. Massey. So Ms. Miller moves, Mr. Massey supports to amend the proposed letter of agreement, item 1, to state that the authority and the DIA agree, and then everything else can stay the same. So number 1 would read, the authority and the DIA agree that due to public health. Do I have that correct, Ms. Miller?
Yes, you do, sir.
Okay. Now the motion is to amend the pending letter of agreement. We will vote on the amendment. We'll see if there's any other amendments, and then we will vote on the document as a whole after that. So is there any questions, comments, discussions on the amendment that's before us? Okay, not hearing or seeing any hands. All in favor of the motion, please say aye.
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 All opposed to the motion, please say nay. Hearing none, are there any abstentions? Okay. All right, we have amended the document. Board members, what is your pleasure now?
What do you mean? What is our pleasure? We passed
We
it.
have a proposed letter of agreement
Right,
We just amended that letter of agreement, but we
Right.
have not approved the letter of agreement in whole. So
Well,
we
I
have
move- then we can move that we approve the letter, the amendment in whole. Can I make that motion?
that is the motion, Ms. Mizuraka. Ms. Mizuraka moves that we approve the letter of agreement as amended. That is the motion on the floor. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Mr. Massey seconds. Okay. One more time for any questions, comments from board members before we vote on this. Okay, we have a motion. I'm sorry. So we have a motion and a second before us. All board members in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Say nay. Are there any abstentions? Okay, thank you. Unanimous approval of the amended letter of agreement. Thank you, everyone. Now we can go back to item 2 on the agenda, our meeting schedule for next year. Hopefully we, our clerk has a little more responsive of internet than she's had. Okay. Thank you very much, Ms. Hunter. So before us, we have a proposed meeting schedule for 2021. Upon approval of this, it'll be posted to the Art Authority's website for the public to see. Proposed dates are January 11th, May 10th, August 30, and December 23rd of next year. What is the pleasure of the board as it comes to our meeting schedule for next year?
I move that we accept the meeting schedule as presented.
I'll second
been-
that.
So we have Ms. Mizuraka, Chair Mizuraka moves. Ms. Miller, our secretary, supports. It's on the floor. Questions, comments from board members before we go to a vote? I'm checking to see if there's any hands. No. Okay, proper motion and second, and with no discussion, all in favor of the meeting schedule as proposed, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, get your iPhones out and get them on your schedule right now. Okay, Madam Clerk, if we can go back to the agenda, please. All in good time. Okay, thank you. We're moving on to item D then, which is such other matters. I want to mention a couple of things. In January, and Ms. Hunter, we should bring back a revised August meeting minutes. I have checked with the clerk during the meeting here. And indeed, we can add all of the, we can add the proper attendance to the August minutes. So in January, if we can have the attendance appended to those minutes and bring them back for the board to approve the amended minutes. Also in January, by our bylaws, we will have election of officers. And I haven't been able to track it down totally yet, but the Art Authority Board in Wayne County elects 2 of our members to the full DIA board. I can't remember right now if that's a 1 or a 2 year term. We will track that down in our documents as well. So it's possible that we would also have the election of our board members from this board to the full DIA board will have to take place in January as well. But watch for your emails on that. Does anybody have any other some such matters they would like to contribute at this time? Any board members?
I have a question, Tim.
Please, Ms. Miller.
On that list of meeting dates, would Octavia email that to all of us so that we can add them to our calendars?
Yes, and actually, Ms. Miller, that was also in your packet that got emailed. Yeah, it's there.
Thank you.
Somewhere, but yes, it will. Now we will change the name on it from proposed to final, and it will come back out to you.
Thank you very much, sir.
And check the website. Thank you. Any other some such matter, other matters that board members have? Any other comments?
As it relates to this, as it relates to this meeting, nothing, but I would like to highlight the role that one of our board members, Hubert Massey, played in a street painting back, was it in this past year? Hubert, can you furnish the dates? I saw it on TV and I really wanted to reach out through the screen and shake your hand and give you a hug, what you did with those kids.
Yeah. Are you talking about Woodward Avenue, Ms. Misaraka?
Yes, and I just think that since he's such a valuable member of the board and he does so much work with the community and what he did with those children, and none of us on the board of the DIA board or the citizens could have done any more than Hubert did. And I just wanted to highlight him in recognizing that his ability to bring young people together and teach them and be a role model as well. So Hubert, would you like to comment on that at all and who you used for those that might not remember or see it again or have seen it again?
Yeah, so the piece was called it was Power of the People, and Power to the People, and it was a large mural, 300 feet long, 20 feet wide, and but my hat's off to the students who actually requested to do a piece based on the Black Lives Matter. They seen a mural that was done in Washington, D.C. There was 20-something students from the public schools, I believe, and I guess they approached the mayor about having a mural done here in the city of Detroit. So, and artists submitted designs of what they were going to say on the streets of Woodward, and so the students, they chose my work, Power to the People. And I thought Detroit is a little different than a lot of other major cities in the country and all. And I just thought it was more fitting to say power to the people and make it all inclusive to empowering people. And I guess the students really like that. So there were about 30 students participating in the process. We actually started early in the morning time and completed the mural that evening. 90% of it was completed. But it was a great experience, wonderful experience for a lot of the students and all. And it went over real big. I didn't realize it was something of that type of magnitude, but it was pretty exciting.
And Mr. Massey, if you have the overhead drone photograph of that,
yes,
if you could send it to me and I'll get around to all the board members if they didn't see it. Mm-hmm. And by the way, I walk across Woodward every day right there at right there by KMAC. Somebody's got to get out with some paint and do a little touch up, but
yes,
that as it may.
Yes.
Okay, item D, any other matters? Does anybody have anything else they would like before we move the agenda? Okay, hearing none, seeing no hands. We will move the agenda to item E, which is public comment. members of the public can address the Art Authority Board. Can't go over 3 minutes. We won't, well, just keep it to under 3 minutes, please. And also, if you'd like to identify yourself, we would like that for the minutes. If you don't, you are not under. All right, there was a lot of muting and unmuting going on. So I'm back on, I assume?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, so what do we do at this point, Ms. Hunter, to get public comment in?
I have asked all participants to unmute themselves who would like to speak. So if you'd like to speak, please state your name.
Okay, sounds good. And I see one number. So whoever's number is up right now, please welcome and please have your comment.
This is Gloria Ross. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can, Ms. Ross.
Oh, thank goodness. I've been having technical difficulties all morning.
Yeah,
Anyway,
I noticed that you were on the list, but didn't have a microphone or anything.
well, I was on the computer and had problems, and I was on the phone and I had problems, but
Yeah.
I've been listening pretty much all the time. So just wanted to let you guys know I'm here.
Okay, so we make sure we get Ms. Ross on the attendance list for the meeting. Going back to public comment, I see a 1206 number. Is that individual wishing to have public comment? Any member of the public wishing to have public comment? I know it's more difficult on Zoom, so I'm going to give just a little more time for everybody to get on. I'm going to call for public comment one more time. Everybody's phone is unmuted, Ms. Hunter?
Yes, for those who wanted to unmute themselves.
Okay, and so I've called for public comment twice. I'll call for it a third time. Any member of the public that would like to address the Art Authority Board to up to 3 minutes. This is your time to do that. Public comment is not a back and forth conversation. We will take the comment without discussion, and we will get back to you after the meeting if it takes a longer discussion. Did I hear somebody?
There was someone that came up on my screen, Hattie, somebody would like to make a comment.
Yeah,
I
well,
don't
I'm
know.
just, I'm looking, I get a chat.
I'm trying to
Oh,
unmute.
I cannot unmute.
She's unmute now.
I'm able to unmute now. Hi.
Oh, there we go. Welcome.
Thank you. My name is Halima Cassels, and I'd like to say thank you. I'm happy to learn that these meetings are being made public, and I'm happy to have this information as to what's going on as a mom, a taxpayer, you know, someone who definitely has had the DIA be a big part of my life as a Detroiter. I was happy to hear also about the idea of pandemic proof partnership, community partnership programming through 2021. And I had some questions about like how that rolls out and how artists and other cultural producers in the city might be able to interact. Also, I'm happy to hear about the rollover due to COVID and, you know, how our tax dollars will be not lost, but reallocated when appropriate. And I was wondering if there's some sort of report or if those budgets are made available to the public. Thank you.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much. Did I understand the last name Casillas? Did I understand that correctly?
I believe she said Cassell.
Cassells. Ms. Cassells, we have your phone number because you called in, and the DIA can get back to you on your question about local artists. So we will get back to you on that, and follow the website on the Wayne County Commission homepage. That's where all of the information is published. So it's waynecounty.com, and look for the Art Authority on the Wayne County webpage.
And Tim, could I interrupt to thank Helena Casellas for calling in and being interested in what's going on?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay. Anybody else wishing to have public comment?
Yeah, this is Steve Panton. Just a couple of things. One is you mentioned a packet of information that was circulated. How can we get copies of that packet of information?
Well, I'm going to have to go back. That should all be posted on the website. The entire meeting packet. If it's not there yet, it will be there. It's a little bit of a bureaucratic thing in the county to get stuff posted to the website. It has to go through a few hands. So if it's not there yet, it will be posted. I can't promise you later today, but I would say check back on Friday, and everything, all of the documents that were before us today will be on the website.
Including the schedule for next year.
Including the schedule for next year, yes.
Yeah. I just had one other small question that was, so obviously the DIA in their presentation talked about a fairly major project, which was how to react to the pandemic and to move a great deal of programming to online. There was discussion of quite a few deliverables, different art packets and so on. Obviously, somewhere there is a project plan that contains all the budgetary information, all the timelines and so on. I'm wondering, it was a little bit confusing. I'm wondering if it's possible to get a snapshot from the DIA of the timeline of this project. What exactly is going to be delivered when? And then obviously underneath that, there's going to be some kind of matrix that maps these deliverables to the requirements of the community. And I'm wondering if it's possible to get a snapshot of those two things. Those are standard project management tools, and obviously somewhere they must exist.
Yeah, and sir, you're asking for a back and forth conversation, which is generally, but we can be, the one part of it, the financial part of it, was discussed in the meeting that once the audit comes out in March or so, we will have an actual hard number. So that will be the financial aspect of it. What kind of numbers will get moved forward into the post-COVID period. And I don't know if the DIA wants to respond. Do you have this on your website? What the individual is asking for, DIA?
So Tim, I think probably by publishing all the materials in the meeting packet, including the program plan and the program outline, should satisfy most of what's being requested.
Okay.
Mr. Pinchman, are you a resident of Wayne County?
Yes, I am.
Good.
Yeah.
Well, maybe then
for almost 25 years now.
Maybe we could get your phone number, and we could, Tim, Colleen, and I, or either one of us could follow up and discuss this with you when we have some papers in hand on this.
Right.
Okay.
But
or we could give you our number and you could call us. So it's up. We want to accommodate you.
Yeah, I do think Ms. Hunter has the gentleman's phone number.
Good. Okay.
So if we can, if we can get that number from the from our clerk, we'll also have that call offline.
I'll also email it to you as well.
Okay. I see, does anybody, any other member of the public have public comment today? Looking for any hands raised? I think we got everyone that wants to have public comment. So hearing no more public comment, item E on the agenda, do I have a motion? Item F, I mean?
I just want to ask Mr. Pinchman, is he satisfied with the last conversation? We don't want to leave him feeling like he's maybe not getting his answers. So, and I think that since we don't have them, he can't get them yet until we put it all
Well,
together.
Ms. Mizuraka, as we do at public comment, it is public comment and not a discussion. We did entertain a little bit of a discussion.
Okay.
We do have the phone number, so we can do the appropriate follow-up outside of the meeting.
I move that we adjourn.
Is there support for the motion?
I'll support the motion.
That was Mizuraka moves and Miller supports. All in favor of adjournment, please say aye.
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 Aye. Oh, the chair rules that is a majority and we are adjourned. So thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tim.
Yep.
Happy
Okay.
Thanksgiving.
To everybody,
Thank
you
you.
know it. I like the